What's up, Bulls Nation? Peck here from CHGO Bulls. We got a live pregame show coming up for you right now. Bulls at home, second night of a back-to-back, taking on Ant and the Minnesota Timberwolves. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls pregame presented by Coors Light. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck, Big Dave, bow, BWL Sports, man in the middle, Will Perdue 32, back in the building. Queen, KDW on the controls, coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. More Bulls action. Game number 9 on the seat? 9. Game number 9. These are flying by. I love it.
Yay.
Taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who the Bulls did see in preseason. We will journey back to that. Who the Bulls did sweep last season.
Yes.
We'll journey back to that. We'll also take a look at what the new-look Timberwolves, including Julius, Randle, and Donte DiVincenzo, have been up to so far this season. Also, Ant bombs away, my God. But before all of that, first, how's everybody doing? Feeling good?
I'm always feeling good. Will?
That's not what you said when you walked in.
I said I'm pretty good.
Pretty good. But pretty good and always good are two different things.
Well,
we're going to have a little segment here where we're going to talk about expectations. And as we talked about, when you come in the room, the expectations are you're going to uplift the energy level.
I didn't bring it up? You don't think so?
I just got a ticket. I got rear-ended, but damn, I'm feeling good.
That's right, because I get to see Big Dave. I like that, Will. Thank you very much, man.
You got it?
Car accident, I make people feel great.
Oh, by the way, there's a boot on your car.
Damn it. Still feel awesome. I'm going to watch the Bulls game with Will Perdue. Life is okay.
I mean, yeah. Second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
I got plenty of energy.
Yeah.
You got plenty of energy?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Energy's here. I'm good. I'm all right. Like that shirt. Very nice.
Sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
The new
Everything's
CHGO
good.
in red.
Yeah, feeling that.
Get them while they're hot, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we dive into tonight's matchup, we've been talking a little bit recently about while the Bulls' season goals might be a little bit different than recent years or other teams across the NBA this year.
Yeah.
Perdue, you've been preaching about like keeping everybody accountable, sticking to your style of play, having a certain level of accountability and pride in what you're doing, regardless of, hey, what's our record? Where are we heading this season? And you wanted to highlight something that first-year Lakers coach J.J. Redick, longtime NBA vet himself,
Shout out.
did and then said during the Lakers and Grizzlies game last night, a game that the Lakers went on to lose. And a lot of people were talking about it all over the Twitter sphere of NBA fans today. He benched DAngelo Russell, essentially, midway through a game.
He did.
And was getting asked a lot of questions about why. But before we get into that, Perdue, I mean, what is it about what you're seeing with these Bulls that has you wondering whether or not Billy and his crew have the right mindset?
Well, because early on, even though it was, a small sample size, you saw them playing up-tempo. You saw them playing with energy. You saw the effort. You saw the desire. Because we didn't say the defense was better. It's actually worse with Caruso, and we knew that was going to happen. But what we saw was the effort. And my point is that, as you just pointed out, we're 9 games in, and all of a sudden that seems to have disappeared. I'm like, wait a minute. It's too early in the season for that to happen. And I'm curious why it changed, how it's changed, why it's being allowed to happen continually, because honestly, this is now 3 games in a row. The Nets shouldn't have lost. The Jazz at home, especially after hearing AK talk about how we have to do better at home. We have to make this
protect that home court.
Protect that home court, blah, 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 which he's absolutely right. And then you're now playing the Dallas Mavericks, a team that represented the West last year in the finals. Mm-hmm. This is a measuring stick game. And I expected to see a lot more energy. I expected to see a lot more effort. And what I saw was basically a sloppy mess, quite honestly. Because, if you're going to turn the ball over, I'm okay with that. Not really, but,
what if you turn the ball over 23 times?
But if you're doing it with effort, when you're like, what are you trying to throw it away? But no, you're trying to play at the pace that Billy's talking about, right? But then when you turn the ball over and then you don't get back on defense, that's a huge no-no to me. Because even though you're not technically trying to win, you're developing players, there's still a standard that you have to hold the players to about the effort of which they play to, the responsibility that they have to themselves and their teammates to come ready to play and put forth the necessary effort when you step across that line. I know people probably get tired of it, but I always talk about that Spurs team that went 20-62. We had a lot of CBA guys, and we talked about this, but the interesting thing is I used to always talk to Monty Williams about this. When we stepped on the floor, even though we knew there was a greater chance of us losing than winning, we played our ass off. And we took it upon ourselves as a huge compliment when your opponent during a free throw in the second quarter would be like, yo, dude, man, just come on. Just roll over. Let us win. Let us get on out of here without anybody getting hurt. And you're like, no, it's not how it works. You guys got to earn this. We're not just going to give it to you. And more times than not in the fourth quarter, they'd tighten down the screws, and then they would go off and win. But they would win by 8. They would win by 10. Not by 40, not by 30. And it wasn't like the Bulls got blown out against Dallas, but I want to know where the standard is. What's the bar? Because what we saw against Dallas, even though they're a superior team, can't possibly be the bar of which Billy holds this team to, of how they're supposed to play and the effort they're supposed to put forth.
So with that in mind, Katie, if you will, we've got some audio of Lakers coach J.J. Redick explaining what he was doing, holding certain people accountable in their game last night.
We played 21 minutes tonight. What did you see there? Why did you make the decision in the second half to go away from him?
Again, just level of compete, attention to detail. Some of the things we I've talked with him about for a couple of weeks, and at times he's been really good with that stuff, and other times it's just reverting back to certain habits. But it wasn't like a punishment. It just felt like for us to have a chance to win this game, that was the route we wanted to take.
So that was J.J. Redick after the Lakers lost last night. He just said it wasn't a punishment, but man, if you saw, and there was footage going around Twitter of J.J. reacting after a specific sequence of DAngelo Russell on both ends of the ball, not getting anywhere on defense, and then jacking up a bad three that got blocked on their ensuing possession, he was heated. Yeah, like it certainly looked to me like it was a coach sending a player a message. Now, obviously, different teams, different coaches, different situations. I'm not saying I think I've seen anything from anybody on this Bulls squad who is deserving of like a middle of the game, like you're sitting now and you're not getting back in tonight. But when this team is about developing young guys, and the season is about developing young guys, you would hope that Billy at some point, if such a situation arises and he sees somebody not doing their job, that he will hold them accountable.
Yeah. Let me go back to the DAngelo Russell thing first. That's DAngelo Russell. So for me, it's hard to be like he's punishing him. And I like that he said he was like reverting back to old habits because he understands this is the player of who he is. So trying to get DAngelo Russell to change that mentality to play harder is like trying to get Nick Young to do something like that. It's going to be very, very difficult for those guys to do that. They are who they are, and you kind of got to accept them and take that good, with that bad. Now, can you handle it, or do you want to deal with it, or do you not want to deal with it? JJ doesn't want to deal with it, and that's fine. It's not like DAngelo is, changing the game or anything like that. That's completely okay. But I think when you make that move, I think you got to kind of stick with that. and you got to give other guys a shot, and you kind of got to give other guys a chance. Now, DAngelo might take the hint and start trying harder, but he will do that again, is what I'm saying. This will happen again from DAngelo Russell. It's who he is as a basketball player. It's gotten him millions of dollars as a basketball player. He's going to keep being who he is out there. So, yeah, I think this bench, and I'm glad he didn't say it was a benching, because I didn't think it was a bench. I just thought he was pissed.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was because it's who he is. He's got to either accept that or not. And you're right, setting that culture, and DAngelo is not going to be a part of that going forward. That's my opinion on it. As far as Billy is concerned, I don't know what culture Billy is establishing. And maybe Will or Matt, you guys could point it out to me, because I really, truly don't know. I know what he wants to do offensively. I know he wants to run. I get that. You know, we want to be a transition team. We want to get up a bunch of threes. I don't know what else is with that, as far as who is going to be held accountable, as far as who is going to be the leader for you guys. Your for sure leader last year, it was easy. It was DeMar DeRozan. It was Alex Caruso. Mm-hmm. Those were your leaders. That was easy. Now you're a younger team. You know what I mean? You got to find new leaders. But as you like to say, like, how young are they? You know what I mean? How young is this team? And Kobe's not a young guy like that. Ayo's not a young guy like that. These aren't guys that, you know, are going to lead kind of like DeMar or like Caruso would lead. They kind of got to figure it out for themselves. So, Will, maybe it's some growing pains going on with those guys, you know, becoming leaders and stepping into that. We've seen Zach do it. It's we don't. I'm not okay with Zach being the leader like that. I don't think that's his thing.
Game one players only meeting last season.
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's his thing. So yeah, it's a tough position for Billy to be in. But honestly, I don't know what the culture of this team is.
And let me be very clear here.
Okay.
Because, you know, I'm sure some ears went up and were like, what? I'm not saying, as you heard what Redick said, I'm not saying these guys aren't competing. Mm-hmm. They aren't trying.
Right.
My main thing was, though, about JJ basically said, that's unacceptable. Come sit by me.
Right.
He could say it's not a benching, but it was.
Sure.
He was sending a message loud and clear.
Okay.
So much so that the media saw it and they felt necessary to ask about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because of JJ Redick's demonstrative actions on the sideline when it all happened, and exactly when that happened to when, you know, D'Lo came out of the game. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. He probably won't change. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't, he won't be with the Lakers much longer.
No, not at all.
Because the one thing
the Bulls and the Zach LaVine trade.
But the thing is, though, that JJ will say behind closed doors, right, is, D'Lo, we need you because you're obviously much better than you showed tonight. And if you really want to help us win a championship, we'd love to have you here. But what you did tonight is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And if it continues to happen, you're going to find yourself right where you were when it happened tonight, sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. And at some point, if it continues to happen, you'll be gone. We'll bring somebody else in that will do what we need them to do.
Yeah.
Okay? Because everybody, regardless of how good you are, even if you're the best player and you're Giannis or you're LeBron or you're, you know, whoever you are, Kyrie, everybody has a specific role they have to play. Mm-hmm. And when you in this case, the Bulls, when you walk in the UC, now your focus should be totally on what is my role tonight and how do I play my role to the best of my ability to help us win. But the biggest thing about what JJ said was lack of attention to detail. Mm-hmm. Because you pointed out 23 turnovers. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times last night, obviously I wasn't here because the GOAT was here, and I get kicked to the curb when GOAT is here.
Oh, please. You were happy as could be just hanging out at home with your puppy.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was. But I would have liked to have been here. I enjoy being here.
You're more than welcome to be here.
We enjoy having you.
Yes.
But how many times, and I'm sure you guys did the same thing last night, you saw a turnover coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that guys were just doing, like, and this is what I talk about when they're like, well, they were competing. I'm like, when you take a pass like this, and it's almost like dummy offense. Boom, boom. And then Kyrie goes, thank you.
Right.
I'm going to go down to the other end and get myself an uncontested layup. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there, and at one point I yelled at the TV so loud my dog jumped up because I saw it coming. They were going around the horn. I was like, no, boop, the other way. And I'm like, if I can see it, the coaches can see it.
Sure.
But that's what I mean when I'm talking about going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't catch and swing. That's like when you're in practice doing the dummy defense and you're working on the shell drill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't overplay the passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
You're working about getting out to the ball, chopping your feet. But you got to know that the opponents know your offense just as good as you do.
Yeah.
So it's about being able to run it with a specific sharpness, crispness.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. There's a certain standard that you have to play to every given night or you get embarrassed. Regardless of what your goal is of winning a championship like the Lakers and J.J. Redick, or developing players and developing a culture and an atmosphere. Again, people aren't really talking about this, but an atmosphere that is sucking in other players. Like, I want to be there. I want to play with that guy. I want to be part of that organization. Because what's one of the biggest things we've always talked about? How come we don't get any big name free agents?
Well, I got my theories on that.
I got a couple.
But yeah, I think it's a fair point. And DLasso23 in the comments saying a lot of these NBA players just don't really want to be coached, or certainly don't want to be coached hard. Some do.
Some do.
You know, like remember the Jimmy Butler, Fred Hoiberg beef back in the day? Fred needs to coach harder. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but what's
and then you see years down the road Jimmy thriving in Miami and him and Eric Spoelstra literally threatening to whoop each other's asses on the bench during a timeout.
Yeah, but let's talk about parallels.
Sure.
What are all the Bears players saying?
Coach harder.
Coach us harder. Yeah. Coach us harder. We want to be coached. Why? Because they want to freaking win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes a player can only go to a certain level.
Yeah.
But with proper coaching, he can get to the next level.
Well, and the other thing,
and
it goes to Dave's question about like what exactly is Billy's culture? What's the culture he's trying to build? What Billy Donovan has been known for at the NBA level is being a player's coach.
Correct.
Players like him, and especially a vets coach.
Love him.
Vets love Billy because Billy lets vets play and do what they want.
Yeah.
DeMar sang Billy's praises because guess what?
Yes.
What did the Bulls offense look like for 3 seasons? DeMar DeRozan.
Yes.
That's what the Bulls offense was because Billy let DeMar do that. And now it's people even were like positing the question like, does Billy even want to be around if DeMar goes and if maybe they trade Zach and they let Vooch out the door and coach a rebuild?
Yeah.
Because he's a vets coach. He's not a young developing kind of coach.
Yeah.
Well, he's here still, under contract still. We'll find out as we go along what culture Billy is able to build with this younger roster. Okay, we can switch gears and talk about tonight's tip-off, tonight's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before that, quick shout-out to our friends at Coors Light and their friends at WishFest. Coors Light is the presenting sponsor of WishFest, Chicago's concert for a cause. WishFest is back at the Salt Shed this Saturday, November 9th.
Yeah.
It's the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
It is a one-night indoor music festival uplifting families battling cancer across Chicago and the entire Midwest, featuring a unique lineup of music and an atmosphere unlike any other, with crowd favorites, OAR, I know them, Grammy-nominated superstar Mike Posner, sure, indie folk sensation Will Dorado, sure, and folk pop up-and-comer Hans Williams.
Okie dokie.
A big party for only $150.
Okie dokie.
Get a load of this. You get all-inclusive experience with over 6 hours of all-you-can-drink bar, food vendors, a truly special atmosphere with all-night music, and every single dollar benefiting this amazing cause. All WishFest proceeds benefit Wish Forever's mission of uplifting families battling cancer, helping bring support to more than 600 families facing cancer with financial gifts totaling over $3 million.
Yes.
For more information and to get your tickets for WishFest, you can go to wishfest.com. That's WEISH, don't forget the E, FEST.com/tickets.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Casey.
Game on deck tonight. Bulls, Timberwolves. Bulls.
I see it.
That's what the gum chewing is for. It's anti-acid reflux gum.
We see you, Julie. We see you.
Oh my God, man. Do we need to read that, or can everybody else see it?
Oh, they can see it.
Everybody
just
watching
put it up
see
there.
in the comments, but
They
yes.
just put it up there.
Billy looks like he's constantly battling acid reflux.
And shout out to Casey for the one above that.
Hey, indeed, and one below it. Uncle
Hey.
Will's a pleasant addition to the show. Keep up the good work. We shall. Keep
We
tuning
shall.
in. So, Bulls, Timberwolves. Guys, what if I told you that the Bulls are carrying a 3-game winning streak versus this specific opponent into tonight's matchup? If you include their preseason win over Minnesota a few weeks ago.
I would
Because
tell
they
you,
swept their butts last season.
I don't believe you.
I don't know.
I appreciate you being positive here and
Hey.
looking for the silver lining.
I mean, one of those wins against Minnesota last season was one of our CHGO Bulls takeovers.
It sure was.
It went to overtime,
It
something
did.
y'all know I love.
Oh, Matt was in rare form at
And
the UC.
both matchups against Minnesota last year were back half of one of them was in February, maybe January, and then February, and then end of March.
Yeah.
So by February, I was already like, okay, draft lottery odds. I was not loving that win against Minnesota last year.
What?
But it was an entertaining freaking game.
Yes, it was.
Ant had 38. Cat had 33.
Mhm.
DeMar had 33. Kobe had 33.
Yeah.
It was a back and forth dramatic game, one that the Bulls managed to come out on top of.
Usually when they play Minnesota at the UC, it's like that. I remember the game you and I went to when they played Minnesota, and we said almost courtside flex. And that game went into overtime. Like, that was a really fun game. That was also the game that I gave myself Goon of the Night because I spent my time yelling at Patrick Williams positive affirmations, and you could see him turn around and look, Will, like, who the hell is yelling at me? And I'm like, it's me! You're bigger than everybody, Patrick!
Speaking of JJ Redick saying level of compete,
Yeah.
get out there, Patrick!
Get out there. He had 14 points that night. He played well. I remember that.
Career high.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Oh, Purdue prediction coming up.
This is a team that Pete Will seems to play well against.
He does. He had his best game scoring wise.
And I have a feeling in my loins that he's gonna have a good game tonight.
Oh, man.
Your loins make predictions?
Oh, man.
That's wild.
They do a lot of things when you retire.
And my loins do a lot of things.
Do a lot. They do a lot, baby. Oh, nighttime
the
Purdue.
beast.
After dark Purdue is something else, baby.
I love you too, Purdue.
But I mean, it's just I as a player, sometimes you feed off experiences, obviously.
Sure.
And he's had success against this team more than once.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily talking about this guy's going to have a breakout game.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to have the type of game, in my opinion, that we expect every night.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that tells me that it's going to happen tonight because of just going off what I've seen in the past.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I think the Bulls will win this game, personally. I said they would go 1-1 on this back-to-back, so I guess this will be the one because I didn't think it was going to happen in Dallas. So I'm going to say they win this one.
Well, what I really want to know is
I don't want them to.
this bucket always has 3 Coors Lights in it. Did Peck have to drink one last night?
No, my guess is that the Blackhawks crew is over there in Studio B doing their pregame show right now, and they needed a Coors Light for their set over in Studio B.
Correct.
That is my educated guess.
Yeah.
That is the correct guess. Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, you think I would
I like
ever?
yours better.
I mean, not to break the fourth wall and spoil things. These aren't actually cold as the Rockies currently.
Yeah.
These are room temperature beers.
Can't have that.
You want me to break the fourth wall some more? This isn't real ice. These are clear plastic ice cubes, y'all.
Oh, God.
I need my Coors Lights as cold as the Colorado
Rockies. Wait a
So,
minute.
yeah.
What the hell have I been putting in my drink? Use a couple of those, man. So, yeah, it's not going to be a Frosty Cold Coors Light. We
I
can't
get
embrace
it,
chill.
but sometimes it's just in case
Got
of
to have
emergency.
one?
In case of emergency, break glass.
That's why I keep that bigger fridge over there full of beers. Because the Bulls make me stressed.
Bears tailgate.
But I mean, you mentioned, hey, Pat plays well against the Timberwolves, or has had a tendency to. So has Kobe White, who, shout out to our guy Drew from It's the Bigs, got this quote from Wolves coach Chris Finch pregame. I personally feel like Kobe White is one of the more underrated players in the league. When the Bulls swept the season series against Minnesota last year, Kobe averaged 25, 5, and 5 in those games. I mentioned the 33 points he had in that OT win at home. And you might be saying, like, okay, so the Bulls swept Minnesota last season, but they had DeMar as their leading scorer or co-leading scorer in both of those games. Also, there is no Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota anymore. They've got different pieces. We'll get to that in a second. So do last season's games give us any kind of intel on what we're about to watch? I will also say, I mentioned the Bulls and Wolves played each other in preseason. Who the hell treats the third game of preseason like bullshit? Bullshit. Shout out Dennis Allen. they like Bulls' real starting lineup, aka the one that is their regular season starting lineup. They all played 26 or more minutes in that game. Anthony Edwards played 30, Gobert 27, Julius Randle 26, Jaden McDaniels 23. Many of the Timberwolves players were playing well into the fourth quarter of a game that the Bulls were leading. And Finch had his guys out there late. It was not a preseason, so it means nothing. Like, no, Bulls-Wolves preseason was starters versus starters for large portions of it, and the Bulls came out on top.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, but again, like you said, preseason game. I think I'm more inclined to think of the 150 points game, as people love to bring up.
Can't let that one go.
People love bringing it up to me all the time. I appreciate y'all enjoying that because I was losing my mind. But yeah, that's the game that I kind of think of. We'll see what Naz Reid does tonight. I'm curious about how they match up with him coming off the bench. I'm curious about the minutes that Modest gets tonight.
Bingo.
I'm hoping that it's over 14 minutes that he gets, and I don't mean 15 when I say that. I want more Modest minutes.
Why don't you say over whatever number you want?
Well, because when I was talking to Joey C, he was asking me to over-under on the minutes, and he was like 14 minutes. And plus, Modest played that in the last game. So when I say over that, I don't want to be like, well, 14:50. There you go. No. No. Let that young man get out there and play. Let him get out there and cook. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm interested to see how Ayo kind of bounces back. He's been really, really struggling shooting the basketball. It really showed yesterday for sure. He took about 10 threes, hit about 2 of them, man. So I'm interested to see how his game comes forth in this one. And, yeah, just how the rotations go. I'm interested to see that as well. So, yeah, a lot of things I'm curious to see. I know Vooch is going to get his double-double. I think Kobe's going to play well. Yeah, I think they'll do some things well, but defensively there is no defense for Ant. Rudy Gobert is just Rudy Gobert. And if Naz Reid gets it going, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but that being said, what's the best thing for this team to do at the start of the game? Get the ball to Vooch.
Forfeit.
Oh, I was going to say build a 20-point
Is that what you
build a
said?
20-point deficit because we've already learned the Bulls are capable of coming back from those and then winning. That's the strategy. But you want them feeding the big man out of the gate, huh?
Well, and not necessarily to score. I mean, dribble weaves out on the top of the key, high post, pinch post, backdoor cuts. But just because inside out, this team struggled from 3 the last couple games.
Yeah.
All right? So work inside out. Don't just come up and start jacking up a bunch of threes and make things easy for – this Timberwolves team's defense is not very good. I know they got Gobert.
No.
But because they have Gobert – in my opinion, they're kind of lazy on the perimeter because then they're like, we got Rudy on the backside.
Yeah.
So if you can drive and kick, occasionally get to the rim, you're going to have some success. So don't just settle for threes right away.
Yeah.
Through their first 7 games, Minnesota's defensive rating of 112.8 is exactly 15th, middle of the pack in the NBA. Speaking of Minnesota, they're starting 5 tonight. As you would likely expect, Conley and Edwards in the backcourt, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. The least favorite player in the NBA by the collective players of the NBA.
They took a poll.
Randle and DiVincenzo. A lot of people gave more attention to the Cat going to the Knicks side of that trade.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by these 2 players coming to this already very good Minnesota team.
Completely agree.
Let's take a look, Katie, if you will, at what Randle and DiVincenzo have done in their respective roles so far in Minnesota. Randle, you see a significant fall off in field goal attempts compared to his final season with the Knicks last year. But otherwise, still putting up over 20 points a game. His shooting splits in their first 7 are wild. He's shooting 57 from the field, 46 from 3. I think he's only taking about 4 a game, but even still. Lights out. And then with DiVincenzo, opposite side of the story, he has had a really rough start to his first season in Minnesota shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Just 38% from the field, 33% from behind the arc, and that's coming from a guy who was a 40% shooter each of the last 2 seasons.
He's just waiting to play the Knicks. And when he plays the Knicks, all those numbers will be great. But Julius Randle, I think you and I were definitely in agreement on what we thought he would do in Minnesota. We thought it was a good fit for him and Minnesota to get out there and do his thing, and he's doing that according to those numbers for sure. I think he'll have a good game tonight also. Here, man, like he is a load to stops from scoring. And if that 3-point shot is falling, I mean, all you can do is pray after that, like, because Julius Randle is that serious. So I don't know if this is the game that DiVincenzo gets it back going. But I think he's going to get a lot of open shots tonight, Will Perdue.
Yes, he is. And it's just, listen, I think at the end of the day, the Bulls have to get off to a great start, period, regardless of what happened last night. I understand that the Timberwolves have not played since Monday, but you got to be ready to play. And my 2 cents on this whole trade, I thought that this was a win-win for both teams.
Yes, sir.
I thought both teams had to do something. And in my opinion, this was the best that was out there, because if both teams came back with the rosters that they had, they probably weren't getting any farther than what they did this past season. So they're not only sending a message to their fans, but they're doing something about it in order to trying to get better.
Osis Jr. in the comments saying hopefully Zach is back because defense is going to be wonky with Pat having to guard Randle or Ant. They are holding Zach out again tonight. There's a question mark. Billy told media pregame that they are going to hold him out tonight. But we also saw Zach was building up a nice sweat in a pregame workout along with his teammates. So all indications are he will play Saturday against Atlanta. Billy clarified in his pregame comments also, it's not a strain or a pull of any kind. It's just tightness in that adductor that he's working with. So
good to hear. Good to hear.
Io does hold on to that starting spot in Zach LaVine's absence tonight. The rest of the Bulls starters as expected. It is past the 7 o'clock hour here in Chicago. That means tip-off is just moments away. Thank you for tuning in to CHGO Bulls pregame presented by Coors Light. I'm going to go get some cold ones. These are props. Hit that like button on your way out of here. We will see you right back in studio for CHGO Bulls postgame live after Wolves Bulls. Let's keep the winning streak alive. Why not?
Why not?
We're making them our cute little puppies, just like Purdue's at home. Wolves aren't so scary.
The boxer.
Enjoy the hoops. We'll talk to you soon. See Rebby good.
Pow!
Oh, yes. Let's go.
We all silly like the mayor.